Hello, hello, hello. Hey, everybody. Welcome. Happy Wednesday. Great spring going on. It's looking beautiful out there. Got a little too sunny for me today. But, hey, we got the lighting fixed. Hope everyone's going to enjoy it. And let's get started on the newest episode, episode 18 of the Sweet Lou special. I'm Sweet Lou, and I hope you guys will enjoy it today. Alright, so some silliness continues in American politics today as Democrats are pushing to begin impeachment proceedings against President Trump, blah, blah, blah. Same old, same old. As we all know, Elizabeth Warren, AOC, or the infamous three, as I mentioned yesterday, are continuing to push for impeachment of the great President Trump over everything that has happened in the Mueller report. Just same old shit, different day. They will continue as much as they can to try to, make a shitstorm out of something that's not really there. Whatever. But hey, so President Trump said this morning on a tweet, no surprise, as in like 90% of his communications always on Twitter, that if impeachment proceedings begin, then he will ask the U.S. Supreme Court to intervene. Which, let's make it clear that this will not and cannot happen. It's just a silly, stupid tweet that he made, thinking that he can ask the U.S. Supreme Court to intervene, which is not the case. And yes, another confused comment from President Trump over the nonsense that continues on with the House and Democrats trying to stand out from the crowd and really make noise and bark like little dogs to try to get themselves heard and get themselves seen, basically. Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, has already chimed in with her opinions on the matter, saying that impeachment proceedings will not occur because she feels that it will be a waste of time and money, and she's saying that letting the next year's election speak for itself when Trump runs for re-election. Basically, she recognizes that this is going to be an uphill battle and not really worth the fight, which, as I put on my Facebook page yesterday, the most sense I've heard her say or make in a long time, which I agree with her. I mean, there's not going to be enough collaborating evidence here to actually find him guilty of whatever the hell that they're going to suspect him of or accuse him of. And basically what she did is that she had a conference with all the House Democrats and told them, like, hey, stand down. This is not going to be worth it, blah, blah, blah. So, there's that. So it really makes, Trump's tweet kind of not really valid, because if he was staying in the loop and was really reading about what's going on, then he would understand that impeachment is not even going to be a question now. It's out the window, which is great, good. It's just a fucking waste of time, in my opinion. Nothing's going to be found anyway. Now, I feel compelled to clarify to the viewers what exactly it means to impeach a president, because I get the impression that a lot of people think that it means that he will be removed from office right away, which is not the case by any means. But impeachment, and let's make it clear, and let's make it an open conversation about what it means to impeach an official like the president. Impeachment is basically official charges filed against the president or other officers of the U.S. federal government by the House of Representatives. So again, the U.S. Supreme Court does not intervene on the matter by any means. They stay out of it. So I don't know what he was thinking of, but obviously he's not a professional in constitutional law I guess he should be, but people think that the president needs to know anything and everything, but no, he just needs to have the staff there and be able to find the right answers when the question comes up, you know. But, you know, his background is not in law, but is in business, as we all know. Which, again, you know, like I said, silly comment. I mean, kind of stupid in a sense, but it's not the first time, nor will it be the last time it will come from him. But, okay, so the Senate, as we go on, has the authority to hold the trial of the charges against the person in question, and a 2/3 majority of the Senate is required to remove the person in question, if found guilty of the charges, from their office or position. From my understanding, the last time anyone was removed from office, let's see here, and it says, last person to be removed from office due to impeachment most recently was in 2010 of Judge Thomas Porteous of the United States District Court of the Eastern District of Louisiana. Only the following 19 of these proceedings actually resulting in the House's passing articles of impeachment. So that's the last time. So 9 years, roughly. Okay. Now, so there's a lot that needs to be done in order to actually remove an individual from the office. And and when it comes to that, there's even two options for that situation. Either complete removal of the individual from the office question, or that person is barred from running for that office ever again. So basically, it's like saying you're barred from re-enlisting, in a sense, I guess you can say. But yeah, so that's the case. Oh my goodness. And so we go into the last time a president was impeached by the House. If anyone knows or doesn't know, which everyone I'm sure now knows, that Bill Clinton was one of them. Okay, President Bill Clinton, due to his obstruction. Was it obstruction? Let's see here. It was charged of perjury and obstruction of justice. And this was because of the Paula Jones, which the perjury consisted of. And then the second was abuse of power. President Clinton was, of course, acquitted by the Senate. And the votes to remove him from office fell short of the 2/3. So obviously he wasn't removed from office. So in a big scheme of things, it was a big fucking waste of time. Nothing really happened at the end of it. And then the other person that was impeached was Andrew Johnson, February 24th, 1868. The House of Representatives claimed that he was violating the newly created Tenure of Office Act by a 126 to 47 vote. And then he was acquitted by the Senate, which voted 35 to 19 of those present in favor of conviction, but however, it fell short of one vote. So therefore, he was acquitted of the impeachment, and then life went on to bigger and better things. So as you see, there is a due process of removing someone, but I think that everyone, especially a lot of left-leaning liberals and people out there are thinking, oh, impeach the president means that if he gets impeached that he's out of the office right away, which is not the case. There is a due process to it, and it doesn't mean that he's going to be out of the office, because there has to be a significant amount of evidence to prove of the allegations, and it's just a process. So let's make that clear, all right? So that when we go on and hear about impeach, because I'm pretty sure and I'm pretty damn confident that what they mean and their intent is that they're going to be thinking that the president's going to be removed from his position, which is not the case, and nor has it ever happened. There was a questionable one with President Richard Nixon, where he was referred to the full House of Representatives for consideration, but it ended with his resignation, as everyone should be aware of in that situation. So, I hate to break the news to the left, but that are not fully aware of the impeachment proceedings, but I feel that Trump's morning tweet was very unnecessary and did make him look a bit silly. As of probably a good portion of his tweets are, which everyone thinks that, like, the president's sitting at his desk and he's on Twitter or on his phone on Twitter at all times, and he's just constantly tweeting. I guarantee, I can almost guarantee the man has a staff or a staff member that does the tweeting for him on his behalf, as of with the majority of any kind of, like, major social media personalities or, like, organizations online that you get news from. There are people that are moderators or admins of the page. As for me, right now on my page, for instance, it's just me, but I do have one other person that's an admin, but he doesn't put anything out. But as I grow bigger, if I grow bigger, hopefully I grow bigger because of all the great people that are following and liking the page, that, I would have to delegate some of that authority to other admins or other personnel to be able to get on there and share the information so we could keep a constant engagement of the followers, viewers, people that like the page, and so on and so forth. So, don't get in your mind that the president's sitting there and just fucking tweeting every day, ha 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 ha. No, you think he's really doing that? No, he's got a groaning to do that for him. But if he had read what Pelosi had to say about the possible impeachment, then he really has nothing to worry about. That's what kind of makes the tweet kind of sound stupid anyway in the first place. And which I don't think that there is enough to impeach him anyway on anything. But then again, I have not read the Mueller report in its entirety, though I plan to once I get my hands on the published book of it. I think it's coming out next week. People can buy, take a look, and read the entire redacted report. Which that's another thing, redacted. Redacted this, redacted that, and that the left is wanting to claim as some kind of new scheme, bullshit plan behind the Mueller report. Well, guess what? They have to redact the information out of there. There's personal identifying information. That's the entire reason why Julian Assange is, under so much scrutiny and indictment because he didn't redact some of the information that he put out, which put out personal information like social security numbers, addresses, private information, card numbers, so on and so forth. So, yeah. So I don't know why. To redacted, because I keep reading that and hearing that from people, and it's just getting annoying. Now, only Elizabeth Warren and the infamous three, as I like to call them, continue to make themselves look stupid as they persist about impeaching the president. It won't happen. It's just another chapter in the book of attacking the president. And we continue on with the bullshit. More and more. And it goes on and on and on. I'm just ready for this shit to stop so we can move on to the next bullshit to bitch about. Because I know I'm going to. Because there's always something up their sleeve. Always something tricky that they're trying to do. But what are your thoughts on the matter? Fast before, curious. Do you think the president is going to get impeached? Do you think the House is actually going to file official charges of impeachment because of obstruction, collusion, interference of a foreign government like Russia in the presidential campaign? Get the hell out of here. I don't believe it. I just don't. Again, like I said yesterday or the other day, that I don't think Russia really has anything to really gain from it. Just other than saying, we got through, and then, to get through the impenetrable force of the United States' protective barrier or something like that. It's kind of crazy, but, it is what it is. And we'll move on. We'll see how it unfolds here in the near future. It's going to be interesting. Again, if Pelosi has said this, then I'm sure that impeachment's not going to happen. Nor is there really much evidence to support that said obstruction did happen. I mean, in comparison to what happened in Bill Clinton's situation with abuse of power, which I think it was because of the obstruction of what he did in lying to a federal grand jury. But I think that was in reference to the perjury. Either way, President Trump hasn't lied to a grand jury. Yeah, nor was put under oath too. So anyway, we'll see how it goes, unfolds. Leave me your comments, discussion. Maybe you think I'm full of shit. Maybe you agree with me. Hopefully you agree with me. I'd like to hear that. But hey, we'll move on to bigger and badder things right now. Okay, so I'm going to show you 2 videos that I think it's important to share with you guys, the viewers. And of course, this is going to be a rant on the continuous current bullshit that seems to be coming from Alpha Charlie, AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. It's not much of a surprise to a lot of us right-leaning individuals and some left-leaning individuals. Not so much of a surprise and an all shock that she said something stupid, but I want to share with you the newest thing that this came out on the 18th of April. So I think we're about 5 days late. What are we? 6. But, as the veteran community, this is coming out through the veteran community and letting them know, and it's starting to spread. This is the part that I really want to share. And the recent debacle that is being put out stems from AOC's stance on VA healthcare. Now, I will show you a video, 2 of them. One's going to be the unedited kind of cell phone video of her speech talking about the healthcare. And then I would like you guys to compare it to another video that I will show that is from, what is it? Now This is the other one. Yeah, Now This. And then compare of like how it gets cut and edited to make it look like in favor of the left, because now this is kind of a left-leaning organization. But here, I'll give you the unedited version first. Let me know what you think. And let me get this so you guys can see it.
There are some things that we're hearing today. There's some themes that we've got coming out. And especially when it comes to the VA, all I can think of is that classic refrain that my parents always told me growing up, which is that if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Exactly, don't fix it. And that is the entire opening and approach that we have seen when it comes to privatization. Is the idea that this thing that isn't broken, this thing that provides some of the highest quality care to our veterans, somehow needs to be fixed, optimized, tinkered with until we don't even recognize it anymore. And here's the thing, they are trying to fix it. But who are they trying to fix it for? Is the question we gotta ask. And this is who they're trying to fix it for. They're trying to fix the VA for pharmaceutical companies. They're trying to fix the VA for insurance corporations.
Oh, no.
They're trying to fix the VA for a for-profit healthcare industry that does not put...
Oh, Robert. Oh, Robert.
So we have a responsibility to protect it.
Robert. Get the hell out of here. All right. So that was the unedited piece of video for everyone. And let's get to the Now This version. And then we'll get to the conversation and debate. Oh no, what happened?
in 2019, in an era where we think that when we have insulin for sale and we try to skim off the profits of life-saving medications, it is radical to believe that caring for our veterans should not be for sale in America.
The government has to pay for it.
Trying to fix it. But who are they trying to fix it for is the question we got to ask. And this is who they're trying to fix it for. They're trying to fix the VA for pharmaceutical companies. They're trying to fix the VA for insurance corporations. And ultimately, they're trying to fix the VA for a for-profit healthcare industry that does not put people or veterans first. And so we have a responsibility to protect it. Because if it is any community that deserves Cadillac, first-class health care in the United States of America, it is our military service members and veterans. Period.
We should not use for-profit health care.
People talk
I
about
have
the
private health care.
advocacy that comes from our district and the advocacy that comes from me as though it's this big, radical, scary, crazy thing. And you know why they say it's so radical and so crazy? You know, it's this big, radical belief at the core of what we advocate for is because we believe that some things should not be for sale in this country.
Like heroin. As pushed against. Veteran advocacy groups have encouraged reforms of VA healthcare. Have also warned the effects of increased privatization. We are confident that any objective, unbiased analysis of all relevant data blah, 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 compared to the private sector, the healthcare will demonstrate the benefits of maintaining and strengthening a dedicated veterans healthcare system. A ProPublica analysis found increased wait times after 4 years of increased private healthcare for vets. Bullshit!
Her opening and approach that we have seen when it comes to privatization is the idea that this thing that isn't broken, this thing that provides some of the highest quality care to our veterans somehow needs to be fixed, optimized, tinkered with until we don't even recognize it anymore. And so when we talk about the VA, we need to talk about protecting the VA. And if we really want to fix the VA so badly, let's start hiring and filling up some of those 49,000 vacancies that haven't been hired.
Okay. So let's get started. Let's break this shit down a little bit. And,
we don't need...
Yeah. Wow. Kind of let that sink in for a little bit. To my veterans out there. My pro-military people out there. Let that sink in. Like yesterday. Now, I will start off by saying the one nice thing and one thing that I do agree with her, and it's the one little bit in comparison to the entire thing of crap that she said. And this is what I'll start off by saying that I agree, is that the military and veterans deserve the best Cadillac healthcare available. It's true. I agree with that wholeheartedly. And it's going to be very hard for anyone to disagree with that kind of comment. It's kind of an open blanket statement there of some type of logic that no one can disagree with at all, right? To kind of get that connection with the audience. Now, let me go on with the rest of the many flaws that I see in her logic and her rationale and what she is saying about the VA. Now, many right-leaning individuals as myself criticize the VA because there are a lot of veterans out there, I, myself included, utilize the VA healthcare system. And let me go on. All right. So, unlike Miss AOC, I have firsthand experience about its processes since I have experienced it firsthand. It is hard for me to sympathize or understand what she has to say because She's never been in that position. How the hell does she really know? I get it. That she has staff. That she's got individuals that help her understand what goes on. But no one understands the VA healthcare system better than veterans utilizing the VA healthcare system, which she is not one. Okay? I have many friends that also use the VA healthcare system along with the TRICARE system, which is coverage for active military personnel. Okay? Now, I've gotten to this conversation with other people before, and we have to admit that each VA healthcare facility around the nation is different, okay? Sometimes people get better care in areas like Texas, Dallas, for instance, which I have a friend that utilizes, and he says that it's the greatest healthcare that he's ever been provided. I think geographical locations have a big deal and an impact on the system and on the VA hospital, because Texas, as we all know, a red state, very pro-military from north to south, east to west, excuse me, but they have a passion and a love for their veterans in Texas. So I think that there is a correlation between the two and the personnel that work there in comparison to places like where I have a friend out in Virginia that utilizes the VA healthcare system, and he gets screwed over constantly, not being notified of diagnoses that happen or that come up until like a month or so after. I mean, there have been instances where people have not received diagnosis of cancer for like 10 months. And let's bring that up. I want to look that one up because you may think, oh, no, that's bullshit. And I'm like, no, it's quite true. And it happens. Let's see. Cancer diagnosis. Oh, let's see here. Where is the guy? Here it is. Veteran diagnosed with cancer 10 months after test at Leavenworth VA Hospital. An inspection at the Leavenworth VA Medical Center found that a patient with a possible malignancy result was notified by a physician 288 days after the test was completed. Wow. And then that's government-funded healthcare right there. But that is, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Right? 10 months after the initial CT scan, patient was diagnosed with stage 3 lung cancer with the possibility of metastatic disease. The patient died in the summer of 2017, according to the Office of the Inspector General's report. $10 months. Now, I'm not... what do they call it? Oh, gosh. Brain dump. I'm not an oncologist by any means. Okay? Not a professional. I'm not a doctor. Not a medical doctor. Not a PhD. None of that. However, I am a good figure-outer, and I am somewhat, a little bit, tiny bit educated. And I would think that 10 months of not being treated or notified of a cancer diagnosis really put this man or this individual that they're talking about, the patient, it solidified his death sentence. I'm sure that there could have been a lot of intervention in between the time of 10 months that could have possibly saved this individual's life. Not only that, but if they was found to be stage 3 at the time, easily turning to stage 4 in the 10-month span, causes the patient his life. But it's not broken, AOC says. Let's go on to other examples. Jim Turner, A retired Marine colonel took his life at the Bay Pines VA campus. He was the 5th veteran to do so since 2013. At this specific location, is what my understanding is. On December 10th, retired Marine Colonel Jim Turner put on his dress uniform and medals and drove to the Bay Pines Department of Veteran Affairs complex. He got out of his truck, sat down on top of his military records, and took his own life with a rifle. And again, this is not a broken system, apparently. Just recently, in the past few months, there have been 3 veteran suicides of VA that due to lack of treatment from VA hospitals. So we in the veteran community are very well aware of the flaws of the VA healthcare system. But we have to take AOC's word for it because she said so. No. The VA is a government funded, of course, and they can have major backlogs of people seeking specialty care, okay, which is not your primary care. So, like, if you need to see an oncologist, if you need to see an eye doctor, an optometrist, if you need to see a gynecologist, these are all specialty care, which is why the VA Choice Program was created to relieve that backlog so that we can give some of that burden to the private sector of the healthcare industry. I do not agree with the video with when it said about the increasing of wait times at the end. I don't agree with that. I don't see that as being a credible study. You could prove me wrong, please do. But I don't think that the choice program or the new program, I forget what the mission, I believe it's mission program that they have currently now, that is trying to put more money into giving it to the private sector so that veterans can be taken off of that wait times of the VA healthcare system and put some of the burden onto the private sector. Because I'll tell you a firsthand experience that I have gone through. I had broken my ankle in November of 2016, and I had transitioned out of the military and was still having a lot of pain and issues with it healing. I did not have surgery, but I had to have it examined by the VA, and they could not get me in for simple scans to see an orthopedic doctor for about 2 months at the time. And this was in 2017. Couldn't see one for about 2 months. So I got a referral to use the choice program to see an orthopedic doctor here locally that has his own individual practice so that I can get it evaluated and get the right kind of physical therapy for my ankle. Boom, within 2 weeks, man. 2 weeks had an appointment because of the choice program. And I'm not just blowing smoke up your ass. I'm sure that there's many other veterans out there that have utilized the choice program or the new mission program or whatever it's called now, but something similar, and has been able to see a professional within a lot less time. Also, another specific case, these glasses that I have. My last pair of glasses had broken, and here in the state of Washington, they have very strict guidelines about when it comes to eye prescriptions. And so I tried to go in through my VA to get to see an eye doctor and to try to get evaluated so I can get a new prescription and new glasses. I called. They finally called me back after I already paid out of pocket to get my new glasses. I paid out of pocket for my new exam. Then they said, "Hey, we don't have an appointment until another month." After it took 2 weeks for me to get this. They didn't call me back until 2 weeks after. Said I couldn't even get an eye exam for another month and then try to refer me to the choice program. And it's like, because that was the issue of the choice program during the last administration, was that you needed a referral. Well, sometimes it's hard and it takes time to even get that damn referral in order to utilize the choice program. And all my veterans out there that are watching, I'm sure you can sympathize with this and agree. And it's crazy. Now, I can promise you that the VA healthcare system needs help. The reason being is that I believe, my personal beliefs, is that the free market creates systems for the country that the government cannot compete with all the time. Okay? Healthcare being one of them. This is what happens when you have government-funded healthcare. Something as small of a community as the VA and veterans in comparison to the rest of the United States, which I believe I had mentioned in a previous episode that there are like over 4 million veterans out there that utilize the healthcare program, VA healthcare, which is over 1% of the populace of the United States. Just one, not even two, one. A little over 1%. So in comparison to the rest of the country, it is a small populace of people. Now, think about what government-funded healthcare would be like for over 300 million individuals in this country. It would just be a great financial burden. I don't agree with VA healthcare for all or Medicare for all, because that is going to be a risky and a very large burden on the American people, on the country, economically and socially. That's just the way I feel about it. There's a lot of people out there that will disagree with me, but that's just the way I think. Because I've seen it, what government-funded healthcare looks like just on a small populace of veterans. What do you think it's going to be like nationwide? Backlogs are just going to be out the ass, man. Won't be able to see anyone within like months. Now I get it. Everyone wants to go off and compare to like, oh, well, Canada has social health care. Oh, parts of Europe have social health care. True. Canada also has a lower population than the state of California. Same with other European countries. They're able to support a system like this. Now, one thing that I can agree with is that with our current healthcare system is that it is expensive. It is very, very expensive. And even bottom tier health insurance plans, as I've talked to an individual, it is not all that great of coverage because everything is expensive. Why is it expensive? Is because that's what hospitals could get away with charging insurance companies. They're always trying to get more. And that's the part that I can kind of agree with. But also, I believe that competition and a healthy market creates a healthcare system that cannot be comparable to what the government could provide. Now, I find it hard to justify that there doesn't need to be any changes to the VA system, where we hear about all the time, like veterans killing themselves, veterans not being able to get the proper care. My stories, I'm giving you firsthand experience. This is the truth. I'm not making this stuff up. I don't have anyone that pays me money to try to say this for anyone, on anyone's behalf. I'm doing this because this is the truth. This is what I feel. And this is my perception and my stories that I'm sharing with you. Firsthand experiences. And that brings me to my next point when we talk about TRICARE, all right? And many of those in the service can sympathize. Medical treatment through TRICARE coverage in the active duty military is a busy service as well for such a small community in comparison to the civilian populace. Yes, they are better at providing the service needed for those serving because military personnel, along with civilian contractors or civilian workers, work together to provide treatment for military personnel. But there is also a terrible backlog in care with that too. I've had to wait over a month just to get a sleep study while I was on active duty. And people want to go off, and like I said, compared to other countries. But overall, I feel that there needs to be a better system to provide more affordable and caring health care to the American people. But government-funded health care is not the way to go. I don't agree with it. I don't agree by any means that the program set in place to get veterans a civilian sector, civilian sector health care is promoting a for-profit corporations or Is it, I mean, promoting pharmaceutical companies? Promoting she specifically said and mentioned the pharmaceutical companies. Where the hell do you think the drugs, the medications that we give to people on a constant basis, where do you think it comes from? Do you think the CDC just shits that out? Do you think that the EPA or whatever, any kind of other government organizations go in and like they have like government workers that put together insulin and fucking and produce it? No, it all comes from the private sector. Yes, there are federal grants that are given to universities, to medical, research facilities, so that they can produce and discover new medication. But like, on her reasoning of like, oh, go to pharmaceutical companies, and everyone's like, rubble. Well, where the hell do you think insulin comes from? Who do you think makes it? Bro, like, it's, like, has no connection. I mean, it's like people, I mean, I'm sure, I can almost guarantee you that these left-leaning politicians firmly believe that the equipment that the military uses is made by the federal government, which it's not. It's all contracted out. For Christ's sakes, the planes that are being used in the Air Force are all made by Boeing. The jets are not made from, the F-22s, F-18s, they're not made in a government factory. The trucks that we use down in Afghanistan were made in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. I mean, come on, man. Even the weapons we use are not made by the government. Like, where do you think all this stuff comes from? The government just doesn't have manufacturing facilities to produce all this stuff, because we're not communist Russia. We're not communism. Even then, in communist countries, they dictated to private sectors on how much they can produce and what to produce. It still didn't come from the government. In a way, I guess it did, but stupid, completely just oblivious to how everything is run. But hey, continue to lead the country. So it's just stupid of her to say any of that. Now, another thing is, how do veterans that live in rural areas of America, how are they are they supposed to drive 2 hours out of the way to the closest VA facility? No, that is unreasonable. So that's why we create programs so that they can see the civilian sector of the healthcare industry, so that they can get the treatment that they need in a timely, more professional manner, and a lot of times in the VA. Again, location's different. Everyone out there in the United States, they have all that are veterans that utilize the VA healthcare system, have different experiences. Like I mentioned before, mine is just is in between. It's not the best and it's not the worst either. But overall, I'll take it. Now, AOC, she is a major socialist that goes against the economic principles, the foundations of what the United States is. And she really inadvertently, which I don't think she purposely wants to have the entire government crash, it's just she's oblivious, I feel, then seek to give the people more problems, as she has already cost her state billions of dollars in revenue and people thousands of jobs in her own state. As I mentioned before in a previous episode, that caused a real backlash in her approval ratings. The VA needs help. Just one veteran killing themselves in the parking lot of a VA facility is one too many. And I support the federal funding of private hospitals for veterans to be seen in a timely manner. But to go off to say that, we're just boosting the private sector, or we're just funding the pharmaceutical companies. Yes, we have to fund the fucking the pharmaceutical companies. We have to have medicine that treats people. The government just doesn't hire these geniuses because the government doesn't pay anywhere near what the private sector can. Which brings me up to another point of the 49,000 jobs, which I don't think that's even true. I mean, I'm sure, you can find VA job opportunities out the ass anyway. I mean, you just go on USA Jobs and you can find so many. So that, partially I could agree, but 49,000 jobs opening? Now here's another reason why, is because if I'm going to pay a cardiologist government money or a private sector money, which is completely, it is a vast difference in amount of money, the person is going to go for the private sector more than likely. That's why I've preached before that the Army or the military doesn't get the best doctors as commissioned officers. Because why would anyone in their right mind want to join the military as a captain right after medical school, get their education paid for, blah, 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 which I guess that's a positive thing too, but make far less money in the military side than they would on the private side. That's why I feel military doesn't get the top tier doctors. However, there are doctors in there that are that come in as colonels or lieutenant colonels because of their specialty, and these are people that have legitimate passion in what they do. But you know, it all differs. So please, don't jump on the bandwagon of the bullshit that's being put on the videos. As I showed you the left-leaning one, and I showed you what was really put on by a cell phone, and what was really said. And don't jump on the bandwagon of the socialist points of view. It's not going to work. And as President Trump said, that this America will never become a socialist country, and I stand by it, and many other Americans stand by that too. I believe in the free market. I believe in a lot of times, that free market solutions are some of the best solutions to combat real problems. Case in point, Uber and Lyft. Let me see if there's even studies about that. By the New York Times, says, does Uber really prevent drunken driving? It depends on the study. It's complicated, some say. It's unevenly felt, it says. But it's a good system to try to put in place, though. Either way. And this one says, and it's by Sidecar, how Uber and Lyft are lowering DWI arrests. Sidecar. So, the Lyft and Uber effect on drunk driving, saving lives. Self-reported a decrease in drunk driving incidents in the major cities that they serve. So, again, I firmly believe in private sector. The market solutions to real world problems. And I think I'd like to ask you, what are your opinions on the VA? If you do receive current VA healthcare, what is your point of view on it? How do you take it? Is it good, positive, negative? I would like to know. Let's point out the cities that have good VA healthcare. That way some of us can flock over there so that we don't get fucked over in our current. But, what do you think? You agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Is she full of shit? Is she not? Is she correct on being concerned about dumping money into the private sector, into the free market? Is that such a bad thing? Is entrepreneurship really that evil in this country? Greed, money, rich people? What is your take on it? I would like to know your opinion. Maybe we can get some arguments in, which I think we touched on it a little bit this week. I think on yesterday or Monday on the Facebook page. But I think that's going to conclude today's episode. Thank you for listening to me bitch and rant. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope we all learned something today. And if you haven't followed me on my Facebook page, I'm at The Sweet Lou Special. It's one word. Follow me on Instagram also at SweetLou777. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so that you guys can get updates on my videos, current content, so on and so forth when I go live. I will not be on tomorrow. However, I'm going to try, and this is week number 3 that I keep saying that I'm going to try. No guarantees, but I'm going to be working on it. Probably a late night episode on Friday night. So if you happen to miss it, it'll be uploaded on Facebook and on YouTube. So thank you, everyone that has come out to follow me. Hey, also take a special look out for the Patriot Signs. Patriot Signs, you'll find their information in the description. Great. The owner's a veteran. Great guy. Helping me out. And I'll be having an unveiling, hopefully, within the next week of some of the sponsored stuff that he's helped me get. And show you the quality, awesome work that he does, man. And he puts a lot of passion in it for the veteran community. Great guy. Great work. Awesome products. Signs. Plaques. Great stuff, man. Take a look at them. And again, thank you all for coming out. Have a great Wednesday. Friday's almost here. Hump day. God bless.